everybody. How's it going? Happy Sunday. I am back. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you're watching live or the replay, either way, I appreciate you. So let's just do a quick recap. Yesterday, I talked about, my career choice and how I was finally able to identify what I wanted to do. I gave thanks to my mentors and my supportive boss at the time. And today I'm going to talk about advancing my career and what I had to do to get to the next level, and also how I was able to pay off my student loans, okay? So, I had been working in my new role as a consultant for about 2 years, building up as much knowledge as possible. And, as you're working for a while, I wasn't really getting significant increases because I was kind of like a junior consultant at the time. But now that I had the experience, I was like, you know what? It's time for me to make a change. And sometimes in order for you to actually get what you feel like you're worth, you have to leave where you are. You have to become uncomfortable and move to a new company or new space, maybe start something new. And that's what I had to do. So what happened was I was looking at my debt, and this is what kind of pushed me to finally make a change. I mean, how many of you guys have debt out there? Put debt in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. I had those student loans. I had credit card debt. Remember, my mom said, I ain't paying those things. You got to pay that stuff yourself. You charge that stuff up. I had, I wanted to go on vacation, but I couldn't really afford to go a lot of places. So I said, you know what? I need to make a change. So I started interviewing at other companies. And I'm glad I did, because guess what? I got an offer and they gave me $30,000 more than what I was making at my current job. Now guys, think about this. Making an extra $30,000, whether you're making 30 grand a year, 50 grand, or 170 grand, an extra 30,000 is a huge increase. So I was like on cloud 9, okay? And I said, now I finally can actually make a move, be able to save some money, be able to go places. Maybe we could even start a family, because at this time, Tillman and I were married for about, I think probably about 5 years at this point, right? And the other thing I realized is that I was significantly undervalued. To get that huge of an increase, I realized that I really deserved it, right? And we all know that we deserve things, but we have to get uncomfortable in order to go after it. So I moved on to this new company. It was part of the Big 5 accounting firms, one of the firms back then. I was working in this city, and at this time, Tillman and I lived in Long Island, way out in Coram. So the commute into the city, guys, was 2 hours each way. That was crazy. 2 hours each way is 4 hours a day times 5 days a week. We were commuting 20 hours a week just for getting to work. So that was like one whole day just gone. And so I was like, oh, I can't do this much longer. And luckily, another project came up. I was in Boston for a period of time. So yes, even though I didn't have the crazy commute, I had to actually leave home. I left on Monday mornings and I would get home on Thursday evening. So I was gone 4 days a week. So I'm thinking, well, how am I going to start a family, right? But we knew eventually we would get to it. So there was one day I remember clearly, and I want to share this with you guys. It was on September 11th, and everyone remembers where they were that day. And I actually had to travel that day to go to this project. So I get to the airport early in the morning. Everything's fine. I land in Boston, and I remember my mother-in-law calling me saying, hey, where are you? Did you hear a plane crashed into the World Trade Center? And I was like, oh man, I just landed in Boston. So far, everything seems okay. I get to the office, we're starting to work, and then we hear about the second plane, and that it came out of the Boston airport where I had just landed. So on the project, it's hard to be able to keep working when you're focusing on, is your family okay? I was worried about Tillman, because Tillman used to commute into the World Trade Center for his clients on a daily basis. I remember we're trying to call him, all the circuits were busy. It's like we didn't know what was going on. And, thank God, Tillman was fine. He was actually stuck on the Long Island Railroad because they saw what was going on with all the commotion, and they actually pushed the trains back to Long Island. But that experience, that, being away from the family, not knowing what kind of security we had, it kind of gave Tillman and I a sense of urgency to say, you know what, we really need to start taking, not taking things for granted. We have to start a family as soon as possible. Because we wanted to be able to live life as much as we could, be able to spend more time with our parents, because you never know what's going to happen. So I'm happy to say that project ended up working out well. We were able to help the client. So much so where I remember sleeping overnight at the client site to make sure that their project went live. And I met some great friends there that I still keep in contact with today. You know, shout out to Heather, Lara, Brian, and Sabina. We were like a great team up there. And a lot of us traveled in. We weren't even from the Boston area, except for one of us. And we just became a close-knit family to help us through that trying time and to be able to transition off that project. So what I want to mention is that, you know, sometimes we work really hard for what we want, but we also have to take a pause, and we have to realize the gratefulness that we should have for the family and friends that we have around us. And for us, that was like the turning point that we realized, you know what, it's time to go ahead and slow things down a little bit and start to have a family. So this other thing I want to talk about before I conclude today is about how I was able to pay off our student loans. So I remember in 1999, my mom finally moved from St. Mary's Projects. She had never been in a house before, and she actually moved into a house in Newburgh, New York. And for some reason, I got interested in real estate at this time. It might have been the infomercials I was watching late at night. Remember all of those infomercials that would be on late at night? I was reading books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I said, you know what? I think I want to start to do this. I want to be able to buy something. Even though we didn't have our own property yet, we were still renting. And I said, all right, I think I'm going to do this. How many of you guys have ever thought about, you know, investing in real estate or partnering or something? Put real estate in the chat. And I'm going to tell you why this is important and how I encourage you to either get with a mentor, get with someone who knows what they're doing. So that way, if that's really what you're interested in doing, you can make it happen. Let me tell you what happened to me. So I started researching foreclosures because I didn't have money to buy, you know, a brand new place where things were at the top of the market. So I had the privilege of purchasing 2 HUD homes, and I bought them between 2000 and 2002. And let me tell you, the first one was literally a crack house. The reason why I know it was a crack house, because there was crack valves in the house when I went to go see it, guys. I actually bid on this property without seeing it, won the bid, went to see it after I paid for it, and I was like, oh shoot, this place really is a crack house, okay? It had cockroaches all over it. It was disgusting. But it's all right. I got it for only $25,000. It was a 2-family home up in Newburgh. And shout out to my brother. He actually had the resources, the contractors to help me fix it up, so I was able to rent it out. So I rented it out for about 2 years, but I got tired of the tenants calling with issues and you have to fix this, or this is broken, or, you know, they would pause with the rent or stop. They always had some kind of excuse. And I was like, you know what, I'm done. And so what I did after the fact, even though I sold it, I realized from that lesson, I should have had a property management company to manage everything so I wouldn't have to go through it. But that's okay. You live and you learn, right? The good thing is I was able to sell the property. I made a profit of about $20,000 and was able to pay off all my student loans. At the same time, I bought another property. It was a single-family house, still up in Newburgh, because things were really reasonable up there. I won a bid. It was a single-family. My brother and I fixed it up. And about a year, I think it was about 2 years later, I was able to pay that one off, made about a $40,000 profit, and was able to pay off Tillman student loans. And when I think about it today, if we didn't dabble or start in real estate back in 2002, whatever it was, we'd still be paying our student loans today, because just having that paycheck wasn't enough, okay? So I'm so happy that we did that. Now, let me let you know, not everything is always rosy, because I did have one bad experience with real estate where I bought a place in Tampa, I rented it out, the person stopped paying rent after a period of time after building up on our trust, and I lost the property. I actually went into foreclosure, because it was either I was going to keep where we lived, our primary residence at the time, or I was going to have to lose on this investment property. And so unfortunately, I actually lost on that one. So you have some good and you have some bad. But this is the thing, we all are dreamers, right? Just because you have one nightmare doesn't mean you're going to stop dreaming. So don't give up on your dreams. If you have a dream, put dream in the comments right now, because it doesn't matter how old you are. Remember, I told you I'm 50. I still have dreams, okay? And I want you guys to be able to go after your dreams as well. So that's all I'm going to share today. I want to thank you guys for watching. Put live or put replay in the chat so I know how you're watching, and I'll definitely reply to you. I want you to definitely join me again tomorrow. I'll be back on tomorrow afternoon. If this was a great story for you, feel free to share it with someone. I would love for you to share it. So this is me signing off. I will see you again tomorrow. Have a super Sunday.